Well, it's your boys. 2/3 of the hit. Your boy KStylzz is not feeling well. Prayers out to KStylzz, man. Yeah, he's still doing his thing. He's still KStylzz, cracking jokes, still, doing his research, and he's very much, still a part of things. But like I said, he really just got to kind of get himself back together again. But he will be back soon. But today is. Should I just introduce that guy? I'm gonna let you do that. You go ahead. Introduce that stranger at the bottom.
Yeah, y'all might have seen him a couple months ago during the off season when I was doing my What's the Word Dirty Birds. It's my boy Wiz. That's my brother down there at the bottom. He's a Dallas Cowboys fan, and as I promised, we was gonna bring him back when it was Falcons versus Cowboys week. And this week is upon us. We headed down to Dallas, down to Texas, to take on those Cowboys. As y'all know, my wife and my brother are Cowboys fans. So the week is upon us. So it's a house divided this week.
That's right.
So how you feeling tonight, Wiz?
I'm good. I'm good. I see Mike gave me the thumbs down. Hey, Mike.
No, you gotta get it.
hey. I'm gonna actually be in Dallas this weekend too. I'm actually going to the game, so I'm gonna be in attendance this week.
See this butt whooping up close and personal. Okay.
I don't know. Y'all gonna have a pissed off Dallas this week, so I don't know. We're gonna see. We're gonna see how we respond.
And we appreciate you joining us tonight, Wiz. But like Mad Mike was saying, we definitely sending up prayers for KStylzz at this time. Like he said, he's still cracking jokes. He's still in good spirits, but we definitely just ask that y'all keep him in prayer. And we know that he's going to be back to his normal self, back with the heavy hitters. And we'll be back to the Three Musketeers as usual, but on with the scheduled program. But I hope you guys, as always, are having a great night. We don't have KStylzz here to do his roll call, as he always say.
Roll call.
Yeah.
Look, I can't do it, man. That's KStylzz. KStylzz can only do KStylzz thing. So, let's just get straight to it. I like to just get straight to it, man. I don't like to, BS around. Kind of go into. As a matter of fact, let me do things just a little. Look, I'm all over the place right now, but Wiz,
it's all right.
Kind of give the Cowboys. I know a lot of Cowboy fans, and we have people who are, may have family members who are, family members are fans of the Dallas Cowboys. I told you I'm all over the place today. But what's the news as far as Dak? I know Dak, there's been some questions whether or not Dak Prescott, his calf is an issue. Guys like Tyron Smith, like what's the word as far as the injury bug going around in Dallas? Kind of give us a rundown of what, what's going in Dallas land.
It's been as for like any team, we dealing with injuries. We pretty much been dealing with injuries all year. I think it's been depth has been a big thing for us this year. Having a next man up. Everybody talk about next man up. I mean, we've been dealing with that. So we're hearing a lot of things that's happening. Dak is fine for what we hear. Dak says he's back to form. I think he probably had a bad game due to just him being rested for the last 2 to 3 weeks. Pretty much Dubai, Minnesota, then coming back. So he's dealing with that. But Michael Gallup, I'm hearing that Michael Gallup will be full participant this week, so he may be back in the lineup this week. Tyron Smith, not knowing too much about Tyron Smith. I know he's dealing with an ankle injury. He got rolled up on a few weeks ago. I don't expect him to play again this week. And then we just found out earlier today that our kicker, Greg Zuerlein, is going to be out due to COVID. So they're going to be working out kickers tomorrow. They say Brett Maher, which I would not want him back. They talking about if I want to do it, go give me Calf Forbath like we had before. Calf Forbath was really good when he was kicking with us. But Brett Maher, and they got another gentleman that they're working out tomorrow. So I'll probably hear some more news tomorrow about that. So, you know, losing Greg the leg, you know, y'all at least y'all ain't got to worry about the watermelon kick this year happening.
Hey, well, I got a quick question for you, Wiz. I was hearing something about Ezekiel Elliott in the last game. They were saying that he had like a little minor knee tweak, like he may have hurt his knee in the last game. Have you heard anything about Zeke? Is he a go for this week, or is he kind of a game time decision type deal? I know they said he had his knee heavily wrapped on the sideline.
Yeah, they labeled it a knee contusion. They say he suffered a knee contusion last week. Me personally, I think it happened the week before, and I think he's just been battling through it. I mean, but if anybody knows Zeke playing, I mean, how much we don't know, because you know we got a 2-back system with him and Tony Pollard. So Tony got a lot of more reps last week than Zeke did. But you probably gonna expect Zeke to be out there. He's not gonna sit down.
Okay, bet. So, man, Mike, you want to jump into the 3 keys to victory, or are we gonna?
Yes, sir. Let's get straight to the 3 keys of victory. We're trying to do a little, just switch it up just a little bit. We're gonna go with the Cowboys. We're gonna go straight to the Cowboys. The Cowboys 3 keys to victory, and we're gonna start with you, Wiz. Like your 3 keys to victory. How the Dallas Cowboys are gonna allegedly take it to the Atlanta Falcons.
I would pretty much say, first of all, I think our first key would probably be time of possession. We got dominated in this last game with time of possession. I think we had like 18 minutes today, 42 this last game against the Broncos. So I think we got to get back to our ball control, have methodical drives up and down the field, not trying to do too much, but like giving them long 13, 14, 15 play drives, to keep our defense off the field. I think that's going to be a big thing this week, that you might see them do a little bit more running the ball, probably see some more short passing just to try to get Dak into a zone. And then let him, once he gets comfortable, then we probably try to open it up. But I would try to do as much as I can to try to limit y'all from getting the ball. So I would definitely have to try to hold down time of possession. I think another thing would be limit turnovers. Definitely got to limit the turnovers over here. Not try to give y'all. We don't have no reason to give Matt Ryan the ball. So we want to be able to limit the turnovers, and I want to see all hats to the ball on defense. Pretty much have them 11 players go hit. We did not tackle well. I think Dan Quinn said we had like 14 missed tackles this last game. You're seeing the running backs coming there instead of trying to tackle the running back. They're trying to go for strips. I mean, you got three hats on the ball, and the guys spin out and run for an extra 20 yards because everybody trying to strip instead of trying to tackle. So we definitely need to have all hats on the ball, control the clock, and pretty much limit the turnovers. That's our 3 keys to see if we can pull this out against Atlanta.
I want to say something. I really want to say something, bro. I swear you sound. Oh man, I made a joke last year. It was just a joke, but I've been saying this for the past 2 years or so. I always said the Dallas Cowboys were at the Atlanta Falcons West.
I can say that
because every key to victory that you just said was pretty much reminiscent of what we were. Time of possession, tackling, because we're trying to strip the ball and get turnovers. That's
right.
And look, I totally agree with that. I'm just gonna go real quick. Just real quick. And first of all, we want to give Black Heart. I did not forget. Thank you for the $5 super chat. And Teacher Red, who is unfortunately, tell.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. They didn't brainwash the wife, man. She a Cowboys fan. She said her money's on them boys.
That's right.
But we wish y'all the best of luck this week. But like I said, we're house divided this week. So you know how that goes. But we appreciate the super chat from the wife as always. Look, may the best team win.
Absolutely. And that's why exactly that's what's going to happen.
And my three keys pretty much came from last game. I probably would have had a different 3 keys if we would have won in a different way, but just going off of what we did, like that stinker, that egg we laid, at home last week against the Broncos. I mean, that got to be the 3 keys we got to have.
Rushing. Woo.
Yeah. 191 yards rushing on us last week. Right. That's bad. You got to imagine we got our pencil circled around Cordell Patterson this week. So you probably can imagine that's what we're going to be gaining for this week.
Absolutely. So, like I said, I'm gonna get straight to it, man. The Cowboys, man. The Falcons this year, being that the Falcons have made a couple of adjustments in their defensive line, having a guy like Anthony Rush, as well as Mike Pennell. Those guys are pretty big. So I'm not exactly sure if these keys will work against those guys. So like I would say run the ball, but being that you have those guys like Rush and Pennell in the middle, it's gonna be that's gonna be a tall task because them some big dudes. These guys are 340 plus, and you got them in the middle of so I don't know if that's a smart, especially when you have issues as far as like what's going on with Zeke. Tony Pollard, I like him, but I wouldn't necessarily have him, running, especially with linebackers like Deion and Fourier. Like those, Deion is small, but Deion, like, he likes to lay that wood. So I wouldn't do that with Pollard. I wouldn't get comfortable running Pollard up the middle like that. So this is going to be, they have to attack the Falcons' edge. Like, they really have to attack the edge because if there is any weakness, as far as the linebacker is concerned, like Deion can get kind of caught up, being overconfident with his speed. Like, he really does believe he can get to anybody, and he kind of like misses tackles that he shouldn't because he relies on his speed so much. So it's like they really have to attack the edge. Second key to victory is I don't know if this is smart because they're having to deal with a calf injury with Dak. Like, Dak is going to have to move around. He's going to have to, because if you look at the Falcons' weaknesses this year, they've had issues with mobile quarterbacks and quarterbacks who can move around. So like Dak is going to have to move his feet. Like, he's going to have to move his feet, and with that offensive line, he's going to be moving his feet. But is that a wise thing with his calf? And like that's the biggest issue. Third, Michael Parsons better not play like a defensive end. If he plays like a defensive end instead of a linebacker, it's gonna be a long day because that's what you don't want. What your linebackers playing against the Falcons. Like, you don't get going upfield because a guy like Matt Ryan, once he when he see a team wants to blitz, that's when he's at his best because he's gonna play. He's gonna, like, Matt Ryan. There's only 2 guys that I fear in this league when they have a running game. That's Matt Ryan and that's Tom Brady. You don't get those guys time to sit in the pocket and use their head fakes. Like, those, that's what they do well. So like they are going to have to, he's going to have to play like an all-around linebacker. If they're going to at least hold the Falcons, he's going to have to play out of his mind as a linebacker and not defensive end, because he plays in that Dan Quinn scheme. That strong side linebacker is one of those linebackers is that not only you're in coverage, but you actually rush the passer also. So Michael is going to have to play like an all-around player if the Cowboys are going to have any hope of really containing Matt Ryan. And that's the biggest thing, containing Matt Ryan, because Matt Ryan is a quarterback that likes to spread the ball around. And that's why he's going to have to put on his track shoes. I know Drew says that all the time. You got to put on track shoes. Mike is going to have to put them track shoes on because Leighton, I think he's a good tackler, but you don't want that dude in pass coverage. You don't want him in pass coverage. So Michael is really going to have to. He's going to have to play out of his mind this game.
Yeah, you see Micah being moved around a lot. Like even like this last game, I think he had 2.5 sacks. It should have been 3, but they gave him a half sack too. But they did some things where they blitzed him, even when they blitzed him from the B gap. He got another sack where him and Keanu Neal did like an end around. So Keanu Neal shot up the gap. He came right around. Keanu Neal ran right up through the A gap. And then so you will see him where they line him up on the outside end or put him on the same side as sometimes with Randy Gregory. So you will see Micah. You won't just see him in the middle of the defense. You will see him sometimes here. Sometimes he'll be at weak side. Sometimes he'd be like a Leo position. Sometimes he'd be at DN. So he's like a little chess piece that Dan Quinn been using this year. So yeah, we definitely know that we can't shoot up too much on the outside with Matt Ryan because he's very good at stepping up. So like we're containment for him would definitely be a key point this week.
So Mike, you want me to go ahead and give my keys to victory for the Cowboys or for our Falcons first?
Yeah, just go with the Cowboys.
The Cowboys? Okay. Yeah. So the key to victory for the Cowboys, I would say the first thing is they're going to have to turn us over. They're going to have to win the turnover battle in penalties, turnovers and penalties. They can't shoot themselves in the foot and get into 2nd and long, 1st and long, 3rd and long. They got to stay ahead of the chains. And they have to win the turnover battle. The Cowboys this year has been one of the best teams as far as turnover differential. And I've talked to Wiz about this. We had a couple conversations about this, that they remind me of the 2016 Falcons. They're not great when it comes. They give up a lot of yardage, but they come up with key stops. Like we always talk about, Mike. We always talk about the small intricate details. We talk about that bend but don't break defense and getting timely turnovers. A lot of people have been talking, about Trayvon Diggs, and he's having a Pro Bowl season. Arguably could be nominated for Defensive Player of the Year. And I definitely think that he's one of those guys. He's hot right now as far as getting turnovers, getting his hands on the football, but he's susceptible to the double move. So right now they got to keep riding that hot hand and hope that they can keep getting these turnovers, because it seems like every tip pass is an interception. They're batting balls down, strip sack fumbles. They're just turning the ball over like we did in 2016 when Vic Beasley led the league in sacks, and it seemed like everything was just going our way. Robert Alford was getting pick sixes left and right. It was just everything was going our way. So if the Cowboys are going to win this game, Wiz talked about the time of possession. My first key to victory is going to be them taking the ball and putting Dak on a short field. If you can get, on a short field and get out to a lead against the Falcons, like I said, this team reminds me of the 2016 Falcons, the Cowboys. And it's funny that Mike was talking about the Cowboys kind of being the West version of the Atlanta Falcons, because they're just like our 2016 Falcons, high-powered offense and a defense that turns you over. You know what I'm saying? So my first key to victory is going to be win the turnover battle. The second key to victory, if Dallas wants to win this game, is going to be running the football. That two-headed monster between Zeke, Tony Pollard, they're going to have to run the football and hope that last week against the Saints was an anomaly. Now, personally, because I'm a Falcons fan and because I've seen the players that we brought in with Anthony Rush and Mike Pennell Jr., I don't think that these Falcons are a pushover, because we're playing a bigger version of the defensive line. They're moving Grady out on the edge at DN. You got Marlon Davidson. At one point, it was Marlon Davidson, Pennell, Anthony Rush, and Grady. That's a big defensive line, and it's hard to run at that. So if they're going to win this game, they're going to have to find a way to rush for over 100 yards in this game. So that's my second key to victory for Dallas, is try to keep Matt Ryan off the field, because if Matt Ryan is on the field, he's surgical. So they're going to have to, try to keep that defense off the field and try to control time of possession, kind of like Carolina did 2 weeks ago. The third key to victory for the Dallas Cowboys in this game is going to come down to coaching. I'm not a fan of Mike McCarthy and his coaching, but I do believe they have a chance, in this game to win time of possession and make smart decisions. In the last game, from what I hear and from what I was hearing from Wiz when we talked, he basically stated that they went for a lot of 4th and shorts. In this game, you can't afford to make bad decisions. And as I always talk about, Mike, and Wiz may not heard me say this, but respect your opponent. In this game, don't sleep on the Falcons like the Saints kind of slept on us last week and think that we're pushovers. This Falcons team is a lot. They have a different attitude. This is a very gritty Atlanta Falcons team. Like, a lot of people think that this is the Atlanta Falcons of last year. And if the Cowboys think that last year, you know, we came back on the Falcons and we know the whole onside kick and everything, the Falcons owe the Cowboys this L. So we're going to come in licking our chops. And Dan Quinn is on that sideline. So trust me, these players are licking their chops. And it kind of reminds me of a couple years ago when we played the 49ers, when Kyle Shanahan went to coach the 49ers and we went out west to play the 49ers. That Atlanta Falcons team was fired up and licking their chops because of the way that Kyle Shanahan left. So in this game, it's the same exact thing. The Cowboys are going to have to coach smart. And for Dan Quinn, he's going to have to mix up his defensive formations. For what I've seen this year, this is a whole different Dan Quinn. He's not just running cover 3 like he did with us. It seems like he's learned that he's going to have to blitz at times. He's going to have to do some different things. Because if he comes out with the same vanilla defense that Matt Ryan has seen when he was our head coach, Matt Ryan's going to pick this defense apart. But if he comes out and, you know, puts a little spin on what he's been doing and gives us something different and shows a more aggressive style defense, I think they may be able to catch the Falcons off guard. So it's going to come down to coaching and time of possession, and it's going to come down to turnovers. Those are the 3 things that the Dallas Cowboys must do to win this game.
Yeah, let's kind of go. Oh man, yeah, that really does sound like the Atlanta Falcons, a high-powered offense and, you know, optimistic defense that just is predicated on turnovers, and that's why I said, like, that's a risky strategy against a quarterback like Matt Ryan, because Matt Ryan, what he is at his best when you're putting a lot of pressure on. I know that's like kind of sound crazy. Matt Ryan is one of those quarterbacks like Tom Brady. You don't want to get in the habit of continuously sending a lot of pressure because those guys take that personally. Like, you hit those guys, you gotta keep hitting them and gotta, you know, like, yeah, you gotta really put them down. It's one aspect of the team that I'm really focused on, and let's just go into the 3 keys to victory for the Atlanta Falcons. Wiz, you can join if you want, but the first one, I just have to say the Falcons is one aspect I'm really concerned with, and this is something since game 1 with the Atlanta Falcons. And our receivers have just not done a very good job of being consistent as far as their ability to get open. And I do like Trayvon Diggs as a guy that you can't get lazy with the ball. And like, he's one of those corners, like, if you get lazy, you think, all right, I've passed, you know, I've completed 10 passes in a row on him. He's one of those guys, you get lazy with a pass, and that thing, you know, it's a tie game. He taking them up the other way for pick 6. Like, he's one of those types of players. So you don't want to get, again, like you always say, respect your opponent. That's the first thing. Don't get lazy with Trayvon Diggs. Second one for the Falcons, and I think this is probably the most important. I know that you have a guy, I forget his name, 6'5". I don't know. I just want the nose tackle for you guys. 6'5", 340.
Bohannon.
Okay, you talking about Bohannon? Oh yeah, we got Big Bo. We also have Osa Odigizua too from UCLA.
Mm-hmm. And Bohannon is a guy that I have, you know, is really going to be, because if he is in the game, one thing that I don't like as far as their matchup with the Falcons is that you beat the Falcons O-line with not power. You beat those guys with athleticism.
Yeah.
And a guy like Jalen Mayfield is quickly becoming and this is going to be a controversial take. He's becoming that bully on that O-line. He's becoming a straight up bully. And I'm talking about he's knocking guys down that you consider Pro Bowlers. He's knocking these guys out. Blitz if you want to. You better keep your head on the swivel because Jalen Mayfield is coming. And I'm not saying this to hype up. You know how I feel about our offensive line. I'm always sketchy with but this guy, you got to keep your head on the swivel because if you don't, he's going to crack back. He's going to hit you. He's going to hit you sideways. He's going to hit you. He's going to step on you. He's going to fall on the ground. He's going to do all those types of things. And a guy like Bohannon, if he is in the game and he becomes a key part of that, Dallas, they're going to have to blitz. And this is one thing that, again, you just don't blitz Matt Ryan. Tom Brady, you don't get in the habit of blitzing those guys. So that's one that one-on-one with the interior of Dallas line and the interior of the Falcons. That's one that you're really gonna have to focus on. So that's my key: the one-on-one, the interior with the Dallas, and one-on-one with the interior with the Atlanta Falcons. Second one, just gonna be real quick. Y'all better find something. Y'all better find someone or somebody to contain Mr. Cordell Patterson because that dude is gonna drive y'all insane. Okay,
sure.
Look, and the crazy part about it, it's gonna be dang near impossible to do that because of Mr. Kyle Pitts.
Yeah,
I don't know how, and I know Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn likes to wait a long time before he makes adjustment. His ego is massive.
He been pretty good this year, though. He's been pretty good.
I mean, that 100. You sure about that? Because that 100.
That's one game. I think that man. I can't really blame Dan Quinn. I can't blame him. Now, granted, I'll be the first to blame Dan Quinn on this one, but I can't really blame him. That was a complete team mess up. But as far as like making adjustments, especially halftime adjustments. Dan Quinn, he's been very good, but as far as like listening and but I would expect if y'all want to expect anything from Dallas this year, I mean this week, expect a lot of man, and I would probably expect a lot of by Cal being 6'4" and 240 running like that. I would probably, if I had to guess, I would probably see somebody like Jerron Kearse that's going to be guarding a lot of Cal Pitts this week. Just for somebody having the height, who have a big body, who can put a big body on Cal Pitts. I ain't gonna say to stop him, but I'm just saying they have a big body who can run with him. You would probably see a lot of Jerron Kearse that's going to be one-on-one with Cal Pitts this week.
And those are the matchups. So it's not so much keys to victory. These are three things to kind of watch for this game. And Kyle Pitts, like I said, Kyle Pitts is going to make it difficult for you guys to match up with Cordell Patterson. This is why I actually expect Cordell to have a monster game because you're going to be because you don't want Keanu Neal on him. You don't want Keanu Neal on Cordell or Kyle. And you don't want Parsons on Kyle Pitts. Why? Because he's just not a cover guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're going to see it switch. Yeah, you're going to see
it. And that's the thing.
Yeah. You're gonna see a lot of Micah on Peterson. Patterson, on Patterson, because of the 4-3 speed, someone who can beat or get sideline to sideline real fast. Some similar how y'all use Dion. You know, so you're gonna see a lot of you might see Keanu more sitting in the backfield, like covering in the middle, or you might see somebody Leighton covering. But as far as somebody who can probably get out there, looking to get out there real fast on Cordell, you probably see Micah more on him, and then you'll see a lot of Jerron Kearse on Cal. So that's what I expect. When Dan Quinn come out here and goes on, he hasn't done a lot of zone this year. We know we've been more of a man team this year. So like we've been in, I think we've been in man 63% of the time. So we do a lot of man. So by y'all not having Calvin Ridley out, I mean, he's gone for some time, you probably see a lot of man up press on these wide receivers get somebody in the face of Kyle Pitts like J-Ron, and you have Micah Roman trying to see what's going on with Cordell. That's why I expect it to happen this week.
That's interesting. I wasn't prepared for that one.
Wow.
I wasn't ready to prepare for that. The man, Dan Quinn.
Yeah. He's been changing it up this year. I kind of been spying, Mike. You know how I be doing my getting ready. I be spying on the opponent. But I hate to break the bad news to Jay. My brother, I hate to break the bad news to you, but I'm finna break the bad news, and I'm finna give you my keys to victory. Mike said there's more keys, but I'm finna give you my keys. And my first key is about to be Kyle Pitts is finna go crazy. Him and CP finna go crazy. And the reason I think that they're gonna go crazy on y'all this week is because Dan Quinn, he's never been a coach like a Bill Belichick where he's gonna take what you do best away from you. Right. That's not what Dan Quinn does. Now, if he's changed since he left Atlanta, I have been spying on you guys and watching some of y'all, y'all games and stuff like that. But what bothers me about Dan Quinn is, to me, in the NFL, you have to take away those dominant players. And Mike can attest to this because he was our coach for 4 or 5 seasons. He's never been a type of coach that I'm going to take away what you do best and make you play left-handed if you're right-handed. Right. His thing is, I'm going to run my scheme. I'm going to run my scheme, and I'm going to run my scheme. It don't matter. I'm not going to really adjust to what the other team is doing. I'm just going to run my scheme, and eventually my scheme will, it'll balance out. And I think in this game, Kyle Pitts is going to go crazy. Like, if y'all do actually play man, and I could be wrong, this is just my personal, what I think is going to happen. I really think that Kyle Pitts is going to go crazy because he's a guy, and Mike can attest to this because I know you don't watch the Falcons. You be watching the Cowboys, but Kyle Pitts is a guy, if you put him in man coverage, he's going to beast you because he's basically unstoppable as far as size. He can adjust to anywhere. Like, Matt can just throw it up. It don't even have to be accurate. He can just throw it in the area. You've seen when he was in college. You could just throw it up. You've seen, like, he's had one-handed catches this year. If he's lined up man-to-man, I don't care who you put on. You can put Diggs on him. He's so big and athletic, and they're comparing him to, like, Plexico Barris is who I heard them compare him to on Sunday, Jonathan Vilma. And to me, that's kind of a perfect, because he's not Randy Moss, but he runs a lot like Plexico Barris, where you just throw him the ball, and he's so athletic that wherever the ball is, he's great at tracking the football. That's one of the best attributes of a guy like Kyle Pitts. So I feel like in this game, if you man him up, especially because we've been placing him sometimes like in the slot, where he's able to, just take advantage of his size. And if you line him up, we line him up outside like a wide receiver. It's nobody. Like, if they line him up across Anthony Brown, I just don't think that Anthony Brown or Diggs or anybody can do anything with him man to man. Really, what I think that the Cowboys are going to have to do, and I think that Dan Quinn is going to be too stubborn to do this because I've never seen him do it. Kyle Pitts is a guy that you have to bracket. You're going to have a safety over top and somebody underneath, and just say you're not throwing him the ball today. And from what I've seen out of Dan Quinn, he's not a guy that does things like that. That's more of the Bill Belichick's, that they want to take away what you do best. Dan Quinn, from what I've known of him, he's more of a single high safety type of guy. Now, I know this year he's been doing different things. So maybe, like I said, he'll shock the Falcons and give us, something totally different than what we're used to. But if he gives us a steady diet of the Dan Quinn that we know and love, I don't know so much love, but that we know, it's going to be a long day. And I can see Kyle Pitts going for a buck or $150, real talk, like if they play him man-to-man. Now, Cordell Patterson is a whole nother story because he's the guy that you line up everywhere. You can put him in the backfield. So he's going to do what he's going to do. Like, to me, it's easier to contain Kyle Pitts because you don't just hand him the ball. CP, it's really no containing him because we hand him the football out of the backfield. So if you can't stop the run, CP going to get off one way or the other. Last week, it was him getting off as a wide receiver. The weeks before, it's been him running the football and catching swing passes out of the backfield. So he's one of those guys that we're gonna basically make a mismatch because they put him out there as a running back, and then if we go out wide, like say we're in a running back formation, like where he's in the backfield, and all of a sudden Matt Ryan spreads it out just to see if y'all in man coverage like he did last week. Then we catch y'all with a linebacker on him, like Michael Parsons one-on-one with CP, or any linebacker one-on-one with CP is a mismatch. So I definitely think in this game, either CP gonna go off or Kyle Pitts. But I really think in this game it's going to be Kyle Pitts because Trayvon Diggs is the only guy in y'all secondary that I really fear that he's aggressive, and I know that he'll jump out there and make a play on the football. But I know that Arthur Smith, what he does best is put his guys in positions to succeed. So I can really see him putting Kyle Pitts in a situation where he's not going to let Trayvon Diggs, unless Trayvon Diggs travel for y'all. And I don't know, does he travel?
Yeah, he travels. So he's going to take the best receiver.
There you go.
Week. But like I say, this is a situation where you're talking about Kyle Pitts, where you're looking at a 6'6", player. Trayvon ain't never 6'1". I mean, 6'1.5" on a good day.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
You probably would see, like I say, when I look at Kyle, I'm looking at a big body. So that's why I said Jaron Kearse might be on him. I see Kyle Pitts covering whoever y'all best wide receiver with Gage. So if he's going to take Gage, he might just take Gage out, and then just deal with whatever they need to deal with then. And that's pretty much how we do. So every week, you definitely will see Diggs on whoever is the best receiver.
Okay. So that was my first key to victory is Kyle Pitts. He's going to be a problem for y'all in this game. That's what I personally feel. My second key to victory in this game is going to be our defense. They've been kind of ramping it up. Last week was one of those games where they let the Saints know that we're not pushovers, and they kind of punched the Saints in the mouth. And I think this game is going to easily be another statement game. Dean Pease, he is cut off of that Bill Belichick type cloth in those old school type where whatever you do best, I'm finna try to take that away from you. And I think in this game, what he's going to do, he's going to play 2 high safeties. He's not going to allow you guys to beat us with explosive plays like CeeDee Lamb catching, those deep bombs, like y'all been just going bombs away on everybody. I don't think that Dean Pease is going to let y'all do that in this game. What he's going to have want you guys to do is go on long 15, 16, 12 play drives and methodically work the ball down the field. And Dak is going to have to be very patient in this game. If he's not patient and he looks for the kill shot, like the one hitter quitter where he's just going to try to throw that deep bomb, I can see in this game that, a turnover, because Dean Pease is a very disciplined type of defensive coordinator where he's going to try to control the game and make you do what he wants you to do. So Dak in this game is going to have to take what the Falcons give him. Oh, sure. If he gets aggressive in this game, I think that's where it could lead to a turnover. And then my third key to victory in this game, and I talked about it before, is coaching. Arthur Smith's been doing a great job this year of understanding situations. So if this is a game that it becomes a barn burner, like where we both scoring back and forth, Arthur Smith is great at managing the clock. And that's why I say that that's where the game is going to be won and lost, is understanding situational football, going for it on 4th down, knowing when to punt the ball, knowing how to play field position. To me, that's where a lot of games we lost last year, we've won this year, and we've kind of flipped from what we did last year. And this year, we're winning a lot of games at the horn with field goals. We won 3 games where Younghoe Koo kicked a walk-off field goal, and we ran the clock out. It wasn't none of that Detroit Lions stuff where we accidentally scored a touchdown. Like, it hasn't been none of those mishaps this year. So he's very by the book. Arthur Smith is one of those guys that he knows how to manage that clock. He's doing a great job of managing that clock. And that's where I think the Falcons could easily win this game, or not necessarily easily win this game, but I think that they understand clock management a little bit better than the Mike McCarthy's and the Dan Quinns from their history. From what I know of Dan Quinn and what I know of Mike McCarthy, I think Arthur Smith is a little bit better at understanding time of possession. And Arthur Smith has veteran guys that he can lean on, like Dean Pease. He has veterans on this coaching staff, and he's not a guy that really has a huge ego. And Mike could tell you that. Arthur Smith is one of those guys where he listens to his coaches. He leans on Dean Pease. He leans on these guys that's on his staff. So I think that's been paying huge dividends. But I expect it to be a good game. But I do think that that the Falcons, I think the Dallas going to have a hard time with Matt Ryan, as Mike was alluding to. If you guys try to blitz Matt Ryan, he's one of the best quarterbacks against the blitz because he's seen everything. It's nothing really Dan Quinn can throw at him that he hasn't seen. Matt Ryan's best ability is his ability to read the defense and understand what a defense is trying to do. So he knows where his hot reads are. So if Dallas tries to, blitz and things of that nature, you might get burned. So I really think that Dallas is going to have to do what I said with what we're trying to do to you guys. Slow, methodical, play 2 high safeties. Don't allow Matt Ryan to throw that ball deep down the field. Like everybody's been saying, Matt Ryan's arm is weak and stuff like that. And he burned the Saints last week because they tried to play cover 3 at the end of the game, and it was one-on-one coverage, and CP hit him for a 64-yarder. So you got to be patient.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Be patient.
For sure. I think one thing about Dallas that we have done this year is always take what the defense gave us. So you will see a lot of too high. If it's in too high, you will see Dak go check, and he's checking right to that run every time. Y'all put 8 in the box, and that's where he gonna let the wide receivers go out and start making passes. So he gonna see what happens at Atlanta. That's probably, I think that's one thing we've seen a lot from Dak this year that we haven't seen. It's just understanding what the defense is giving him once he step up to the line. So he's, like I say, y'all gonna have to really try to do with something like how the Patriots did, how they messed up Tom Brady, how they try to do a Dak a little bit. Well, you show one thing, soon as post snap, you show a different thing. You know what I mean? Just to get him to, what y'all want to do for Dak is get him hold that ball, because he don't hold the ball long. He gets the ball out. But he got like the second or third fastest times out of once the ball snapping out of his hands. So y'all gonna have to do things to switch him up as far as like jumping out and showing one coverage, like showing cover 2, and then jumping into cover 1 right after that, or jumping into cover 3, or something to get him to be like, oh, hold on, I gotta hold this ball a little longer. So right now, Tyron Smith's not playing. So I hope they don't do the same thing they did last week by putting Terrence Steele at the left tackle. He has been great at right tackle this year, but as you see, left tackle was a whole different ball game. I mean, Denver tore him up on the left side. So they might put Ty and Seki on the left-hand side. Me personally, I wouldn't want that neither. But right now, we got to do what we can do at this moment. So you want Dak to hold that ball. That's really, especially on passing down, you definitely won't. So I would start seeing you definitely got to get into that head. And then the best way you can do it is mix it up from pre-snap to post-snap just to get him to hold that ball.
You kind of brought something to mind with Dak. Dak is a guy, he's all about rhythm. So I totally agree with having kind of disrupt his rhythm. And the thing, and this is why I say if the Falcons are going to win this game, they're going to have to force him to be a runner. I would much rather have Dak thinking about running the ball and being an athlete versus being a quarterback, because like you can see now, and this is why he's becoming one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, because he understands that he has to be a quarterback now, and he only uses his athleticism when he has to. Right. But the thing is with a Dean Pease, it's and see, I think you was dead on when you said it's like they're gonna have to do some things to kind of switch the coverage, show cover 1, and then go to cover 3, things like that to kind of get him out of his rhythm. Is that Dean Pease is one of the most patient defensive coordinators, and he will literally play cover 6 the entire game, and then on that third and four, he would send the house. Like you was like, okay, why you haven't been blitzing all that? He's very patient, and this is why a guy like Dean Pease and Bill Belichick and all these guys are so great, is because they are extremely patient. So I think this game is one of those games. And I'm gonna just make a bold prediction here. I typically don't do that, but I think this game is going to be a lot closer than what people. I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think this is going to be I think it's going to be a defensive battle. Like, for whatever reason, I'm not confident in our receivers to continuously get open. But I am confident that you guys don't have anyone to match up with Kyle Pitts. That's the only mismatch that I really see outside of Cordell Patterson. Like he in itself, like you can't really put a gauge on when he's going to go off. Like Cordell, he's one of those guys. He can be contained for 3 quarters, then next thing he hit a 70-yarder. Like he's one of those guys. So it's like this is going to be. I think this is going to be. This is a good score. I think this is going to be one of those games where it's going to be 21-17. I think this is going to be a defensive game. I think this is going to be, because both of these teams, when you look at it, they are similar in talent, offense. The balance of both teams, they like offensively, they are They are elite. Dallas are an elite offense. There's no mistake about it. They are elite offense. They could put up 30, 40 on you at any given time. But it all, like the Atlanta Falcons, it all starts up front. If you can protect Dak, you're going to be well. If you can protect Matt Ryan, everything's going to be well. So I think this is going to be one of those games where it's filled, where you're going to have to, like, it's really going to come down to this. If one thing you're going to come down, the coach has got to be patient. Mike McCarthy can't be doing things like going for fourth down, things of that nature, because you get cocky, you get overconfident, and that's what happened to the Saints last week. They start getting too cocky. Oh, I can get this and I got that, and the Falcons end up getting those stops, and it put them behind the eight ball, and then they fighting field territory and whatnot. So like it puts more pressure on your players when you as a coach are doing a little bit too much.
Let me ask you a question. Like, quick question. Like, so do AJ Terrell, do he travel or he stay on sides?
No. He's not really a traveler.
So who got I say Michael Gallup is back this week. So who are the three DBs? Or who
got AJ Terrell, Fabian Monroe. They used to play with the Washington football team.
Yeah, okay,
Avery Williams. We have a lot of guys.
Taylor Hawkins been playing a lot of safety, so it's a lot of guys. That's why I said it's like Dean Pease is a guy, he likes to mix and match. So you might not get Eric Harris at free safety. You might get him at strong safety or in the slide. And Jalen Hawkins the same guy. Like, he moves those guys around, and the only one constant is AJ Terrell, and which is why a lot of guys aren't targeting him. It has a lot to do with him not being being very good, but teams. I just, at this point in time, you take your losses going at a guy like Fabian Monroe instead of going at him. Like, you just, I wouldn't try him. I wouldn't try him.
Yeah, I think y'all have a chance though, Wiz, with the wide receivers, but I don't really see the Falcons running. We don't run a lot of man coverage, even though we do a lot of different things. We run a lot of zone coverage, but we mix it up at times. But y'all have a wide receiving core, like he said, y'all have an elite offense. So, like he said, if y'all main thing is protecting Dak. If y'all give Dak time to throw the ball and y'all actually protect him, and our defense basically, eat up y'all offensive line like we did with the Saints, because Anthony Rush and Mike Pennell and Grady, they just went off last week. So if they, if y'all can find a way to protect, which I'm nervous about because you're telling me that Tyron Smith isn't there, and I keep having nightmares about when Adrian Claiborne went crazy on y'all when y'all didn't have Tyron Smith. So that's all I can think about when you say he's not playing. So I'm just hoping that if y'all can protect, y'all have a chance, because y'all wide receiver core is.
You want to talk about coaching? That was coaching.
Yeah,
that was right. That was coaching.
Yeah, so not putting nobody to chip him. That was bad.
Yeah, so that's the thing I keep thinking of when you're telling me that Tyron Smith is not going to play in this game. That would be my biggest fear if I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. Right. But if it comes down to like just matching up man for man, y'all wide receivers versus our corners are very young. After AJ Terrell and Fabian Monroe, because Isaiah Oliver's hurt, we have, like you said, Avery Williams, and then our safeties are like multifaceted, meaning Dean Pease teaches the safeties and the corners how to play safety and corner. So they're basically just positionless players. So you'll see our safeties play in the slot. Like, we got Richie Grant who can play. We seen last week, like he talked about, Eric Harris was down in the slot. Jalen Hawkins sometimes is down in the slot. So if it comes down to manning up man for man, Dallas really has the better wide receivers compared to our secondary. But Dean Pease doesn't put his players in bad positions. So that's the thing. He don't really put them in situations where it's like going to be man on man. It's very rare that you see somebody kind of out on the island unless their name is AJ Terrell. Like, you rarely see one-on-one situations. So in this game, like I said, it's going to be about who's the most patient, like Mike was talking about, because Dean Pease is very good also at dialing up those zone blitzes when you least expect it. Last week, he dialed up a great blitz with Foye on third down. It ended up getting called back because they called roughing the passer, because he ended up hitting the quarterback in the head because he tried to swat back the pass. But like you said, Dak is definitely going to have to be a runner in this game or have his head on the swivel, because Dean Pease will send that cat blitz. He'll send a corner. He'll send a safety. He'll send anybody, you know, from the defense when you least expecting it. Or he'll send Debo with that 4-3 speed or 4-2 speed. And Dallas, I mean, and Dak is not going to be able to most likely outrun him, you know, him or Fourier if they come on a blitz. So it's definitely going to, you know, it's definitely going to be a chess match. And I definitely, you know, I'm looking forward to this chess match.
I think look for, like, you talk about speed. When I think also he talked about the big guys up in the middle. And if we start seeing a situation where we can't run the ball up the middle or we got to tap the edges, then I would probably see us do a situation where we start to spread y'all out there. Do a lot of more 11 personnel, you know, pretty much with, you know, 2 wide receivers on one side, another one on the island. You start seeing us use the short passing game as our run game, something like we did when we played Atlanta. I mean, we played Tampa Bay in the first game. You know, a lot of people say, well, you know, they ain't run the ball. Well, that's what we did. We used the short game, the short passing game, quick screens, stuff to get it, like CD the ball, Tony Pollard the ball, people with speed, get them the ball and let them make a move. You start seeing some things like that. So you, like you say, a chess match. You will start seeing a chess match. We're trying to run the little zone runs we do when Zeke can cut back up and start seeing how those will work. And if those ain't working, then I'll start seeing if we start attacking the edges and then start spraying y'all out and then make y'all have to run. And then you'll start seeing the little wide receiver screens, quick dump offs to our like CeeDee Lamb, Pollard, Zeke, let them move. And then that's when you start seeing, and then once y'all start to commit up, that's when you see everything start going over top.
Well, Mike, you want to get into some Q&A?
Yeah, let's just get into the Q&A. Wow. Let me say this. Because this is a question that I've had for Cowboy fans. And I'm just going to be honest. So when the hell y'all going to get rid of Zeke? Let's just be honest. When the hell y'all going to get rid of him? Because his ass is trash right now. He's useless on this offense. Let's just be honest. He's absolutely useless. He's useless. There's no reason to keep him outside of the money right now because obviously y'all transitioning away from him. So when the hell are y'all gonna get rid of Zeke?
Zeke's having like a little bit of bounce back. I know the numbers don't really show it, and Zeke does a lot of different things that is not gonna show up on the stats. That's gonna show up in the stats anyway. Like we still gonna give Zeke, we still gonna feed Zeke. You know, Tony Pollard is that little bit of a change of pace back. But Zeke is our best pass protector. So you're looking at like he's great with picking up the blitz. He's great with knowing how everything is supposed to switch. I mean, Zeke goes into the offensive line meetings during the week because he needs to know how the protection is going, so he knows how to play. So I don't think they're gonna get rid of Zeke because I think he is a little bit too valuable for the team because of all the other stuff that he do that is just not showing up on stats. But no, Zeke, I'm actually proud of Zeke this year. I do think Zeke is playing better. It's definitely a bounce back season from last year, for sure. For sure.
The wife clapping back in the chat. She said, y'all gonna get rid of Zeke when we get rid of Matt. I guess he gonna retire in Dallas then. I
do think Zeke can play out his contract though. I think he will play out his contract, and then what he does after that, then I think they might let him go after that. But Zeke ain't going nowhere for the next few years. Nah, he'll be there.
I honestly believe that he deserves the Matt Ryan treatment because that's a lot of carries that he's having. Like he carried this team for at least 3 to 4 years on his back. That O-line and Zeke, like they feed me. Look, man, I'm a huge fan of Zeke, but I think Dallas, they see the writing on the wall, but I think it's one of those issues where you don't want to push one of the guys that really is the reason why you guys are, you know, one of the elite and have been one of the elite teams, you know, for the last couple of years. So you want to get him the right treatment. So
I think Zeke, I ain't gonna lie to you. I think Zeke saw the writing on the wall when he held out for that money. I thought he saw the transition. Transition in. He was like, "Hold on, let me hold out for my money." This offense is getting switched now. I see a lot. We got a lot more passing plays that's coming in he started looking at the playbook like, hold on, I ain't seeing a lot of our rights and our 48 lefts and all this stuff. I'm seeing a lot of quick passing and read option and what's going on with this situation. So I think he seen that writing on the wall. That's the reason why I think he held out when he held out, though.
Dude, hold on. Something else just really just kicks me. Like, not only Zeke, but what's the temperature with Mike McCarthy? Like, do a lot of Dallas Cowboy fans really think he's the guy? Like, that's the thing. Oh God, I see lips.
I mean, all right. So a lot of Cowboy fans, they don't like Mike McCarthy. Honestly, you know what? Let me say this about Cowboy fans. I love our people. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. But I think sometimes they can be so wishy-washy at times because, okay, so we had Jason Garrett. The problem with Jason Garrett, when you say he wasn't aggressive enough. Now you got somebody who came into the picture who's aggressive. Now you got a problem with him being aggressive. Right. Like, I understand. Like I told you, I said, yeah, we need to stop doing the 4th and 1s, but now I understand why he did the 4th and 1s. We was like what 5 and 6 and 0 on 4th and 1 or any to 4th and 1 and 4th and 2. So you know we've never really been stopped when it comes to 4th down with Mike. Only problem is that like we here go for 4th and 1 while we on like our 45. Like hold on, like, go ahead and kick that ball. You know what I mean? Right. He want that momentum, and I think last week. We went for a 4th and 1 and a 4th and 2, and we was already in their territory. I think we was on the 30-yard line at one point. One time we was on the 20-yard line. So you left points on the board because you wanted to go score, which that was the problem. But I can't get mad at his aggressiveness when we've been fussing about it. We want a coach to be aggressive, but then when it pays off, he's the hero. When it don't pay off, he's the villain. So I mean, he's a lose-lose situation. You know, he's a lose-lose situation.
We just know why I sit on this this situation. Mike, we've had this conversation numerous times off air. His name is Jerry Wayne Jones is the problem in Dallas. He know, at the end of the day, he's the head coach. At the end of the day, I love Mike McCarthy. I love all these guys. I consider them figureheads because we know that Jerry Wayne Jones. He basically he's the post of the Dallas Cowboys. It's a reason why he does a radio show. It's a reason why he says
he does a radio show.
He does a whole radio show.
Wow. He got a radio show 105.3 The Fan every Tuesday.
Yeah, so he the guy that kind of comes out and says who gonna play, who not gonna play. Like as the Cowboys go, as Jerry Wayne Jones go. So God, wow. I mean, at the end of the day. I think, and no disrespect to Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy's his own man, and he's won a Super Bowl. And I don't want to disrespect him because when he was with Green Bay, he did a phenomenal job at getting them to that Super Bowl. But I think the biggest problem is in Dallas and what's held them back the last 25 to 30 years, why they haven't been back to an NFC Championship game, why they haven't been to a Super Bowl, is Jerry Wayne Jones. He's holding that team back, and I really think he just needs to step back, just like Robert Kraft. Just let the coaches do what they do, like Arthur Blank. Arthur Blank is a great owner, but he's more hands-off when it comes to football, football talk, because he doesn't know football. He's a businessman. You know what I'm saying? He owns the Falcons, but he doesn't know a lot about football. And I think sometimes Jerry Wayne Jones, is too much in the mix. So I think he just needs to step back and let them guys do what they do. Let them guys do what they do. They know what they're doing. Let them do what they do.
Right. I see somebody commenting in the chat earlier asking about why he let Jimmy Johnson go. He just admitted and actually kind of just talked about that situation. That was probably the biggest mistake that he probably ever could do as far as that. And that's when you talk about ego, I mean, like that was like the biggest ego moment you can have, because Jimmy Johnson was a coach that I want this ship to run the way I want my ship to run. Like, I don't want you to come in here. I don't need nobody. I do things my way. Jerry stepped in, didn't like it, and then he let him go. And then we win. We lose in the NFC Championship in '94, go back 95. But Barry Switzer pretty much took a Jimmy Johnson led team to that. They talked about that. Like he said he called Barry Switzer in and said, "Hey, well, what happened?" Like Barry Switzer walked into the Jerry Jones' office and was like, "I don't know what you did, but you better get back on the phone now and call Jimmy." Like Barry Switzer said that. He didn't even want to take the job. Like, you better go call Jimmy right now. I don't know what you and Jimmy got going on. You better go get Jimmy. And he just admitted that like all these years later that he made the biggest mistake by letting Jimmy go. So that, I mean, I agree with y'all when it comes to ego. Jerry is all about brand. That's pretty much what it is. Whatever he can do to sell a brand, that's probably one of the biggest aspects that he can have. I ain't gonna go into any details about what he do on the field. Yes, Garrett was a very big puppet. I don't want to go into what McCarthy doing because I mean, me personally, I think McCarthy only thing he's doing is trying to manage. But I mean, I don't think McCarthy is doing nothing. I don't think he has any input on the offense. That's ran by Kellen Moore. Dan Quinn runs the defense. All we need him to do is look at the clock and say timeout when we want him to say timeout and do stuff like that. But he been having some blunders this year as well too when it comes to that too. So y'all was on point. We got to talk about coaches. So we definitely need him to be on point.
Most definitely. I mean, like I said, man, we won't try and throw shade. I seen one of the Cowboys fans trying to throw shade 28-3. Man, they must not know. They must be new here. They must not know.
Hey, I appreciate y'all Cowboy fans showing up for me. Man. I'm over here. I'm in enemy territory, so I need y'all to show it in full effect. I appreciate it.
Man, our skin is thick around here. We done been through so many devastating losses. The 28-3, like that's so long ago. Our skin is thick around here. So that don't
have a lot more devastating losses, believe it or not. We have a lot more devastating losses than 28-3.
That's just the memorable one. That's what happened, man. Y'all should have won that game. I do admit, though, for sure.
Yeah, I don't want to go down that road again.
Yeah, that's a dangerous road. We don't need to go down
there. He won't like it. Trust me.
Exactly.
He won't like it when we go down that road. But I will say this about Quinn. I still think it's a mistake for him to go away from his scheme. Like one thing you don't want to do is go away from your scheme, and I think he's trying to go away from his scheme, and I think that's the biggest mistake as a coach that you don't want to do that as a coach. Don't go away from what got you there, and that's what he's doing. And he's playing a lot more man. That's why I was like, y'all playing man. Like what this? Oh, every time we ask him to play man, he would never play man here, and now you go to Dallas and you start playing man.
But that's why I bet the differ, though. I bet the differ on that, and I get it. Trust me, I understand. Even by me coaching, like doing Pop Warner and stuff, coaching now, I understand that you got to, and that's what hurts. That's why I believe hurts a lot of coaches now is because they feel like their scheme matter more than their personnel. And so I think that in order for you to be a good coach, you have to one understand your personnel, and then you have to evolve. Like you know what I mean. And I think that's probably the situation where y'all say, "Hey, we're so stuck to Dan Quinn just running cover three and doing all this." Well, he came here and noticed like, well, cover three is what messed me up there. So why would I still run cover three when it messed me up here? No, let me see who I got. Well, I got somebody who's good at doing stuff in man or doing things in cover who can go from sideline to sideline. Oh, let me go ahead and saying my cornerbacks, they good on man. Let me put them on man. Let me start doing some different things. So I think he came in here, understood what he wanted. I think he went out there. I think he brought in some very good chess pieces. Like I say, like a Jerron Kearse, who's like who is right now one of the captains. He's a green dot guy. I mean, who knew that? We didn't. Nobody in Dallas Cowboy Nation thought that Jerron Kearse was gonna come in here and all of a sudden he was gonna be a captain and a green dot guy. So you like Jerron Kearse, Casey on the back end. Casey he's having a quiet season this year, but we got somebody who can maintain the back end. You got people like Keanu Neal, who's coming in, who's also having another quiet year. But he's hitting whenever he needs to. So I think he had an idea. I think he knew what he wanted to do. And I think as a good coach, you got to learn to, when things ain't working, how can I evolve? And I think that's what he's doing. So that's why I think that he's catching a lot of people, even like y'all, out of surprise. Like we know what he run. He run a cover three. We're like, nah, we run man over here. Like, and so I think evolving is a good thing that you have to do as a coach because you got to be able to keep up with what everybody's doing. And people start picking you apart for these last 5 years for you running cover three all the time. You got to start doing something different.
I agree with you. I think you hit the nail on the head. Wiz, I think you hit the nail on the head. He has to evolve, but I think it's a variation of both. I think you both are right, like what Mike was saying as well. You never go away from your bread and butter, but you do some different things around it. With us, it was like it was nothing but cover three. Like he had no Like all he had was bread and butter. Like where's the rest of the groceries, my dog? Like dog, where is the rest of the groceries? Like I understand you got your bread and butter, but you got to do something else that at least give us some variation. Like I'm getting tired of bread and butter. Give me something else. And that was the problem with Dan Quinn in Atlanta. It was like that's all he did. Like if you go look at that Super Bowl when the Patriots came back, we said we weren't going down that dark road. But it's like even if you just look at the games last year, he would never veer from it. Like, and even when he left, he had the whole staff brainwashed where like so much so we were beating the Buccaneers in the second game, 17-0 at half. We get into the second half and Raheem Morris scratched the whole. We were blitzing, we were playing man, we were mixing things up. Raheem Morris scraps the whole thing at half. What got us the 17-point lead and strictly went back to cover 3. And then we end up losing the games. That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. So I don't want Dan Quinn to necessarily scrap his whole cover 3 playbook. His thing is have your bread and butter, but have something else that you can add some variety to it and mix in with it. So I think that's what he tried to do. Another thing that I think in Dallas that was better than what he had here in Atlanta, you guys drafted a lot better in the trenches. To me, y'all trenches are much better than ours from the players that we drafted, like the Vic Beasleys, the Takk McKinleys, and that's really on Thomas Dimitroff. He made some bad decisions in the draft, and I feel like you guys, even though y'all get some shady players at times, some guys that be walking the line, which sometimes is a good thing because Mike will tell you we tired of having these choir boys on our team. Like ever since the whole Michael Vick situation, we've been scared to draft anybody that got a little a traffic ticket on their record. So it's like you guys y'all are like the Oakland Raiders compared to us. So y'all like the longest yard. Y'all go out and get the guys that have. Y'all go out and get guys that are extra shady. Y'all don't care what they pass. As long as you can get after the quarterback, we don't care. And the Falcons, we was totally different. Like ever since that Michael Vick situation, we like, look, if you got a traffic ticket, we don't want you on our team. And that's really what hurt us. So
I'm living that assist right now.
Yeah.
No, you know what? Y'all talked about y'all asked a question earlier, and y'all was talking about what Mike McCarthy do. I sit here and say I didn't know what he did. I lied. I'm sorry. I do know what he did. He changed his culture from what it was with Jason Garrett. Because as you say, how y'all are, we was we used to call them the Garrett guys. You know what I mean?
I remember that.
So we had a lot of, like you say, good at two shoes. Not somebody who got a little bit of edge on them. You know what I mean? They got a clean slate. So you've seen a difference of how everything is ran from last year to this year. I mean, even from the last 2 years. Last year, of course, Dak got hurt, but especially going into this year, we got some guys that's willing to fight if we need him to do so. So I mean, I think that's the difference. Mike McCarthy had to come in, and a lot of people ain't getting him a lot of credit for. He had to actually change the culture from how Garrett ran things to how we run things now. And that's the difference that you're starting to see. It might not be much, but when you get that culture, the culture that you want to have in that locker room, that makes the difference for everything. And I think that's what you're seeing, especially from Dallas this year.
Yeah, and you need those players that got a little bit of edge on them. Trust me. That's why I like Dante Fowler. Mike will tell you, I've been pushing Dante Fowler as my guy because he had a little bit of edge on you. Like he gonna do something that's on the borderline. He not dirty, but he gonna toe the line. In football, you need some guys that have that aggressiveness about them. And for the last couple of years, when we had Dan Quinn here, we didn't really have a lot of guys with edge. We had guys that talked a lot of trash, like Takk McKinley. They called him Tweety Bird around here because he talked a lot of stuff on social media. But when he got between those lines, he wouldn't do nothing. He wouldn't harm a fly. So yeah, like we really need. I think you guys have better like talent. Y'all drafted better because Randy Gregory, he's serious. I've seen him. He got some bend on him. He was a guy that couldn't stay off the, you know what, but he couldn't stay off the weed. But he's a guy now that he wreaking havoc. And the guys that y'all have drafted, like on that defensive line, I know y'all don't have Tank Lawrence right now, but I feel like y'all have those bigger guys on the edge, and y'all have a bigger defensive line than what basically Dan Quinn has better defensive players, more to work with there in Dallas than he had here in Atlanta, to be completely honest.
Well,
Thomas didn't do a good job of bringing in talent.
Right. We getting a lot of young people this year. Like we got some, like you say, a lot of our young guys is really stepping up. You talk about Micah Parsons. You talk about Osa Odigizua that came out of UCLA. Chauncey Dolston that came out of Iowa, I believe. So like these guys are getting a lot of snaps. I mean, and they got to be forced to actually play at a high level at this point. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I'm looking in your chat right now. I mean, you got some beef going on in the chat down here.
They serious with my
they about to go in it. But I think that's what's happening. So we got a lot of young folks that we actually draft this year that's playing a lot of ball. So we actually liking the production we got him. So by the time Tank should be back, he started practicing last week with that foot injury. They're getting ready to put him on the 21-day window. So hopefully by the time we play, I think we play y'all this week. I think we go and play Kansas City next week, I want to say. So if you don't see him that week, you probably see him the following, probably getting ready for Thanksgiving. You might see Tank back.
So I just want to get I know Mike hate doing this, but I know Wiz, you don't mind. What's your score prediction for the game? Do you have a score prediction for Sunday? We don't usually do score predictions, but since we got you on the show, I know Mike's like he hate doing score predictions.
Right. Mike said he wanted a low scoring game. Like I said, I think this is gonna be a pissed off. I think y'all about to deal with a pissed off Dallas Cowboys, especially with how we played as a team last week. 27-17.
Look, I ain't gonna make Mike do a score because I know he ain't big on scores, but I'm gonna give my score prediction.
Only reason because we got a 9.5 favorite right now. They got us at a 9.5 favorite, so I said I try to do something with a 10 point swing.
I'm gonna say score is gonna be. I think it's gonna be 30 to. I'll say 30-21. I'll say 30-21. I wanted to say 35 because I really think that Matt Ryan and they're gonna try to rub it in. I really think that Matt Ryan want to put a 40 spot on Dan Quinn. I'm just being real with you. Like our team, when we play opposing coaches, and Mike can tell you this: when we play opposing coaches, we try to stick it to them.
Yeah, so, we really do.
I really think that they're gonna try to rub Dan Quinn face in it, and I really think that it's gonna be they're gonna at least score 30. I think they're gonna at least score 30, but I'll give you guys 21. And the reason I'll do that is because I always say respect your opponent, and Dallas has a very high-powered offense. So even if we get up, say we get a big lead on you guys, Dean Pease believes in nothing cheap, nothing deep. So he gonna kind of drop back. If we go up big on y'all, he gonna give y'all everything underneath and try not to allow you guys to just get back in the game with throwing deep bombs down the field. And you guys slowly but surely just get chunk plays, and he'll kind of just drop back into like a cover 2 and just kind of, you know, a variation of let them get whatever underneath. So I think you guys at least score 21, even if they're cheap points, like towards the end of the game. But I definitely think
you just give us 20 points for all those weapons we got.
I say 20. I said 21. That's 3 touchdowns.
A tight end.
Hold on. How much did y'all score last week? Y'all scored how many on the Broncos?
Look, we ain't gonna talk about last week.
Oh, wow.
We scored 16. We scored 16 garbage time points on them. Okay. That's garbage time.
I wouldn't even say y'all gotta worry about Hayden too. Y'all just forgetting about Hayden. Hayden is
Yeah, Hayden is a good player. That's a great player over there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to be respectful. I said respect your opponents. I'm gonna give y'all 3 touchdowns.
You give us 21, bro.
But I just think that in this game, I really think that this Falcons team is picking up. They're understanding, because last week, I don't remember, did the Saints have 0 at halftime? What did they have at halftime? Do you remember? I don't think they had many points. And the Saints is kind of notorious. I know they got a lot of guys injured too. They playing with a backup quarterback, but
no wide receiver.
Yeah, I think in this game, I'm thinking 30-21 sound about right. But we'll see. We'll see.
I'm just saying. I know y'all played the Saints, and the Saints is a heck of a team last week. Well, they ain't got no receivers over there. We got 3 dogs over here. Y'all gotta worry about this week. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, you gotta get the ball off though. I mean, good receivers and good receivers. You gotta get the ball off.
Earlier, Dak is the fastest.
I mean, who's the left tackle? Who's the right tackle this week?
Right, well, right tackle will be Lyle Collins. He's back. I mean, Lyle Collins, he was out because of
when you figure that out, when you figure that tackle position out, you got
now left tackle. I have no clue. I have no
right.
And
That's not a good thing because you got Grady Jarrett waiting. He's playing edge now. He's playing that Arizona role. They moving him all around the D line. So
yeah,
look, it's gonna be a problem. That's gonna be a major problem.
I ain't even mad. I ain't even mad at it. We'll see throughout the week, especially Tyron. I say Tyron is out. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't really like ruled him out yet. I mean, I know we just know he's still battling that.
He hasn't practiced. I don't think he's even practiced this week. Yeah, that's
nah. Well, we won't know until tomorrow because we don't really go into our full practices until Wednesday. So we would know Wednesday, but I know some things they have talked about already. They ain't mentioned Tyron as a person that will be practicing this week. They just said that we get somebody like Tristan Hill, our young defensive tackle Tristan Hill, who lost to an ACL injury last year. They said he might start practicing, and then they say Michael Gallup is a full go. So he's back, ready to go. So we'll see.
Okay.
We see later this week about Tyron though. Y'all got me a little nervous. I keep talking about Tyron. I'm about to call Jerry Wayne and tell him get Tyron.
Hey, man. Get him out there. It's Grady been playing out his mind, and like I said, I don't know who on that offensive line, even in the interior, is going to like contain him. That's a problem. That's a whole problem right there.
Yeah, that's somebody who I would worry. If anybody, and let's say if Tyron was out, then I would worry about our left guard. I mean, Connor Williams, he's great with his feet, but he's not good with girth. He's not good with somebody who's going bull rush him. So him in the center and Tyler Biadasz, those are probably two people I'll probably worry about somebody pushing them back. And that's the way, me personally, that's the way to attack that. It's never been the outside guys that's will be attacking him. It'd be the push in his face. So because he can always see somebody else, he can always scoot out, step up in the pocket, move and make that throw or whatever, this, that, and third. But when it comes to people in his face, and then you contain him on the outside, that's where you're gonna have that issue with that. But through what we seen last week, even with the calf injury, you're still gonna see him moving. You're still gonna see the bootlegs. You're still gonna see him going left and right. So he's not gonna be limited to everything. They're gonna try their best to make that defensive line move. So you'll see some, bootlegs where they sending everybody to the left and he rolls out right, coming back to the right side of the field. So you'll start seeing some things like that too.
We got a super chat, Mike. I don't know if you've seen it. There we go. Yeah, there you go. Mario Brown with the 199.
199. All right, we appreciate you, bro. Hey, man. Let me see if we got another one.
While you doing that, Mike, I'm gonna just ask one more question, and I want you guys on the panel to give me one player that you think is going to be the X factor in this game. So who is going to be like the X factor? And if you want to do both the Cowboys and the Falcons, or if you just want to do the Falcons and Cowboys, whatever. But Wiz, who you think going to be the X factor for you guys in this game? That's who could possibly have a big game or a breakout game.
Well, for y'all, I would say Cordell Patterson. I think that's your X factor this game. I think that will be your X factor, getting him out, not only with running, screens, get the ball in his hand and let him make a move. I think that's probably where he's best suited. I think that'll probably be your X factor because I think, like you say, I do say we play a lot of man. I won't be surprised. Like I said, we don't know what Dan Quinn going to do. I won't be surprised if they do bracket Cal and say, okay, everybody else got to beat us. So, but Cordell Patterson is somebody who I can definitely see would definitely give us problems, especially when y'all start swinging him out. I think when he scored that touchdown, I don't know if that was a real route or they just had him on the outside. He went against what's your boy that got Lattimore and just burnt Lattimore down the sideline and just caught the bomb. So I mean, he's a person that I do can see that y'all gonna move around. So I do think it's an X factor for me. I probably would look for. I got two. I probably would say Micah on the defense, and on the offense, I probably would say look out probably for a lot of CeeDee Lamb in this game.
Okay. What about you, Mike? Who you think is going to be an X factor for in this game?
I'm gonna say that for that reason. We just haven't had it. We have not had a lot of success with quarterbacks that move around. I'm not sure how his mental is as far as him being a quarterback that like can continuously rely on his leg because of his leg injury from last year. So I don't know how comfortable he is doing that entire game. Like really having to rely on being a mobile quarterback, every sense of the word. Being that I don't know if he's to that point yet, but if we don't contain Prescott, we're gonna have issues. We can't allow him to get outside of that pocket where he got time, he can extend plays. Because that's why a lot of our issues come when teams are extending and get extra possessions and things of that nature. So it's like we gotta get to him. We gotta get to him. And if you don't have an answer for Grady Jarrett, it's gonna be a long day because not only this is something interesting and unique, and this is why I want to see how this game goes, because now you have those big 340-pound guys, and you can't just push those guys out of the way now in the middle, and you can't just focus on Grady Jarrett because you got those 340 guys now. Like Tyler Davis, he's okay, but when you have to rely on him the entire game, he's a liability. I've seen Anthony Rush really run over guys this past game against the Saints. And the Saints offense, their offensive line are very physical. They're a very physical team all the way around. So it's like that's telling for me. So I gotta say Dak. Like Dak is really gonna break this game open. Zeke is gonna be Zeke. Amari is still up in the air as far as his injury is concerned, but I expect him to be Amari. But I think this is going to be all Prescott. This game, he's going to win and lose this game.
Sure.
Yeah. Mike, you changed my mind, man, because I was going to say Tony Pollard. But now that you said what you said, I got to agree with you because we've really struggled this year for whatever reason. If the quarterback can run a little bit, we've struggled against mobile quarterbacks this year. We haven't contained a single running quarterback this year. We've been terrible against mobile quarterbacks. So much so Sam Darnold, we made him look like he was really mobile, and he's not as mobile as we made him look. I mean, he killed us on third down where we were caught in man coverage, and for whatever reason, guys didn't stay in their rush lanes. And Dak is a lot more mobile than Sam Darnold. Now, I don't know, like Mike was saying, if he's completely confident and just boating out of the pocket. To me, Dak seems like he's very patient and he'll wait in the pocket. But I think if Dallas is going to win this game, it's going to come down to Dak Prescott and his arm. And Dak is me and we has also had this conversation offline where I told him, Mike knows that we always talk about consistency. And I've always been, I'm going to wait and see with Dak. I kept telling Jay, I'm going to wait and see. I don't know, Wiz, I'm going to wait and see. You know, yeah, he had a good, rookie year. Yeah, he was okay in his sophomore year. Yeah, he was a little, he got better gradually. But at this point, this year, to me, he got the stamp of approval from Jew that, yeah, he that dude. Like what I seen him do in that first game against Tampa, after that substantial ankle injury, that compound fracture, and for him to come back and play the way that he played without no preseason, because people forget he sat the whole preseason. For him to come out and light it up that first game and pretty much go throw for throw with Tom Brady. And we know that the Bucs are no slouch on defense because we play them twice a year. And they basically, Dallas stood up and pretty much almost won that first game. Dak is that dude. So I definitely think if the Cowboys are going to win this game, Dak will be that guy. And he's very, very capable of winning this game. We've seen Dak do it numerous times, throw for 300+ yards against us. So if the Cowboys are going to win this game, it's going to be on the arm of Dak Prescott and on the legs of Dak Prescott. Now, the X factor on the Falcons, I'll say on the offensive side of things, I think it's going to come down to the others. Like as much as I say it's going to be Kyle Pitts, because I think the Kyle Pitts is going to have a big game. Olamide Zaccheaus really surprised me in this last game. He's a guy that is very underrated. A lot of guys don't know him. He's not a household name. And if the Cowboys, you know, they definitely gonna have to go back and watch this last game, because Olamide Zaccheaus really opened up my eyes, because I didn't think that Olamide Zaccheaus was as good as he's been lately. Like lately, he's really been coming on, and Arthur Smith is learning how to use him. With Calvin Ridley being out, Olamide Zaccheaus has been that guy that's really stepped up and been making explosive plays. Like, I'm not just talking about catching a first down here and there. I'm talking about catching 2 touchdowns in crucial moments. Like last week, he was really the backbreaker for the Saints. Like, we talked about everybody else, but to me, Olamide Zaccheaus was the player of the game last week. So I think on the Falcons, it could be Olamide Zaccheaus, because he's kind of the forgotten man when you have CP because of his explosiveness, and Kyle Pitts, a lot of people, and then Hayden Hurst. The unsung hero on the wide receiving core for the Falcons is Olamide Zaccheaus. So I think he can be the guy that is sneaky good and is a guy that can get you those explosive plays, because he has speed and he's been sure-handed lately. So I think it could be Olamide Zaccheaus could really, you know, shock a lot of people, because he's not a household name. Right. And he'll be going up against whoever y'all third corner. So whoever y'all third or fourth corner is, that's who Olamide Zaccheaus probably will be matching up against in the slot. And I think he could be a guy that you guys don't know a lot about, but he could actually, you know, do some things. And he played really well the last couple. He's played well this season, but he played really well last week, and he shocked me. You know, I didn't know he was that good. So I think it's going to be Olamide Zaccheaus.
Oh man, I don't know about this. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say Dan Quinn, but he definitely struggled with tight ends when he was the coach here. I'll just say that. And a lot of that has to do with again, that scheme, and you know, that cover 3 scheme, because like just top the middle of the field is the weakness in the cover 3 scheme. So it goes back to what we were saying about, it's not so much the scheme, because every scheme has weaknesses. The issue is a lot of teams are reluctant to come out of that scheme. Like they don't want to kind of mix things up, and that's what the great coaches do. They mix it up. They take away what you do well, and you know, they kind of, you know, use that with their philosophy. And I think that's the issue with Dan Quinn. So again, I think this is going to be a close game. I'm going to stick with 21-17. I just think this is going to be a better game than what a lot of people think. It's because these two teams are perceived around the league as being one of, like, they have talent, but they're not there yet. So I think Dallas, and I'm just going to be real. I'm just going to be honest. Dallas is probably a couple of players, maybe a couple of players in the secondary away from becoming a Super Bowl contender. And I know the Falcons are really just a man up front away from becoming a Super Bowl contender. They got to get somebody up front that can pair with Grady Jarrett and, you know, really, you know, expand on what AJ Terrell can do as a corner. And I know Dallas, you know, a guy like Trayvon Diggs, you get a safety to pair with him. Like, that's going to be a nasty combo for Dallas also. You got Micah, you got Tank there. Obviously, like I said, you got pieces up front. So that's why I always say Dallas is kind of the Falcons West, because like they really do have a lot of similarities. So I think we'll kind of wind down, kind of give you guys opportunity to kind of give your last takes. We'll go with you, Wiz. Your last take on the game, kind of, you know, give your last take as well as kind of tell people, you know, if you have anything you want to, you know, share with the people, they can find you on social media, anything like that.
Sure. Definitely want to thank you all for having me on. Coming back and talking with you, my brother, talking with Mad Mike. Definitely been a pleasure to be able to talk ball with y'all. I think, like I said, I agree with you. I do think it's going to be a great game. I do think it's going to be a game of you all riding the momentum of a huge win last week, and us trying to bounce back from a terrible loss. So just to see the chess pieces, like you say, to see the chess game that the coach is going to play is going to be great. You all can follow me on Twitter. It's Wiz and the Boys, WIZNTHABOYZ on Twitter. I'm actually starting on my YouTube page too, so you can already have that started with just a couple of videos. But I'm actually going to start investing and doing more as we go forward. So that's WIZ, the letter N, THABOYZ. Appreciate the love.
Well, I appreciate everybody joining tonight. Wiz, you know, that, like you said, you my brother from another, so I appreciate having you. Like I said, on Sunday, may the best team win.
Yeah.
Now what I will
see some videos. I'm being in my Dak jersey too. Some videos personally sending to y'all.
Yeah, man. But I'll say this with this Falcons team, this is a huge game for our Atlanta Falcons this week. And the reason I say that, and Wiz, I don't know if you caught all of our videos. I know you tune in here and there, but this was what I'll say about this Falcons team. We've been preaching that the Falcons are changing the culture from the last couple regimes that we've had of being a team that knows how to finish. That's been the word that I've been using for this Falcons team. Even though we have our slogan has always been rise up, the mantra of this team that I gave this team is finish. We've struggled with that for years within the last decade of learning how to finish games, finishing teams off.
Right.
And this is a huge game for our Falcons. The reason I say that, in previous regimes, we would come off of a big win and then we would have a disappointing loss. Right. So this is a huge game, like you said, to ride the momentum, but you have to approach every game like it's a brand new day. Right. And that's one thing that I love about Arthur Smith and about this new regime that we have. They've been preaching to these players, get better week in and week out. If you go pull up the Atlanta Falcons page and listen to them in interviews, they just recently interviewed AJ Terrell, and they were talking to him about the Pro Bowl and stuff like that. And AJ Terrell basically stated, I'm trying to get better. You know, that's what it's all about. You when you start to get stagnated and you start reading your own press clippings and thinking you're better than you really are, that's when you lose games. And that's why I always say you got to respect your opponent. So in this game, we can't come off riding high because we beat the Saints, because the Saints did the same thing to us last week. They were riding high because they just beat the Buccaneers, and then we went in there and kicked the doors down and beat them down. And it was like, really, I think it's because they kind of overlooked us because we just came off of getting whipped by the Panthers, and they kind of thought they were just going to roll those gold helmets out there and we were going to be afraid of them. And it ended up turning out that they didn't respect their opponent. So it's the same thing this week for us going down to Dallas. Yeah, we've been playing well, but this team hasn't been consistent. And Mike can tell you that all year long, the needle's been going up and down, up and down, up and down. We haven't seen that consistent line, or we haven't seen that consistent ascending from this team. So that's what I'm looking to see from this team, is where we hit that winning streak and we continue to ascend. And it's not so much of this up and down. 1 week the offensive line plays well, the next week we struggle. 1 week the defense plays well, 1 week they struggle. I'm trying to see some gradual consistency is what we preach here at AFN. So I'm waiting to see this team have that consistent rising, So that's what I want to see out of this week. Even if you don't win the game, which I want them to go out there and win, the Falcons have been known and notorious for playing down to their opponents. And that's why you see Mike shaking his head. We've been known for, you get a big win, you riding high, and then next thing you know, you lose to a team you have no business losing to, or the game is close to a team that's over, and they're right in the game with you. So in this game, I'm looking for this team. This is one of those culture building games. We talked about building a winning culture. You're coming off a big win, beating your division rivals. Now this is a huge game to go down to Dallas and show that last week wasn't a fluke and that we are actually making progress. Because if you take 2 steps forward and then 3 steps back, you haven't made any progress. So that's what I'm looking for this team this week is, can you come off of that big win and come back with that same aggressiveness? Like, you can't just play hard when you play your division rivals. You got to play everybody with that same energy. Like we always say, keep that same energy. Play Dallas like you played the Saints last week. If we do that, y'all going to be in for a rude awakening. So that's what I want to see from this team. This young team is, are they actually progressing, or is it we're getting up for certain games and then other games we don't got it circled on our calendar? So, we play down to the opponent. That's my biggest thing that I'm watching for this week. But with that being said, you guys, please hit that like button, subscribe button here on the channel. Also, TalkSports, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram. I also dropped a video today, so you guys go check that out about Anthony Rush being signed to the 53-man roster. So you guys definitely go check that out. But we'll have a lot more content coming for you guys. But we appreciate you guys always tuning in. With that, I'm gonna kick it over to you, Mike, so you close us out, man.
All right, man. Y'all ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell up out of here. But before you do that, everybody continuously, again, send all the prayers out to KStylzz, man. He gonna be back. But like I said before, it ain't heavy hitters without KStylzz, man. He's the engine that makes a lot of everything go with AFN. So with that being said, I'm gonna say this. This is a huge game. I think this is probably the biggest game this season because, like you said, this is one of those games where we typically lay an egg. And we always say about whether this team has changed. These are the types of games that creates champions. You cannot play down or you can't play up to certain teams. Everybody got to be lunch at the end of the day. A dog don't give a damn how he get fed. All he knows is he ready to eat. And that's how the Falcons should be. That's how every team should be honest. You can't be looking at everybody else like, oh no, this is low main. These are brownies right here. No. Everybody lunch. At the end of the day, everybody is damn food. Everybody food. And this is where Arthur Smith. We always talk about Dan Quinn, and one of the reasons why Dan Quinn was fired, the main reason why, it had nothing to do with him being a bad coach. Because coaches need time to pretty much, like you need, let's be honest, coaches need at the very least 5 years. At the least 5 years to create a culture. He didn't have that. But one thing that he failed at, and this is the biggest thing, is that he allowed guys to get comfortable. You cannot get comfortable. You can't get comfortable with your opponents. You can't get comfortable allowing players to do what they want to do. You got to make people upset. You got to piss people off, and you got to ruffle feathers. And that's something that Dan Quinn, if he wants to be a better coach, if he wants an opportunity to be another head coach, he got to make people uncomfortable, even himself, because he does not like being uncomfortable. Dan Quinn does not like being uncomfortable. So, with that being said, man, we appreciate you guys for joining us. We will do a post-game show. We do post-games after every game. So, all you Dallas Cowboys fans, you can come back. You can kind of come in. We have an opportunity for you guys to speak and kind of give your thoughts on for a while. But that being said, man, we out of here. Peace.